Welcome to Next Level Play Therapy, a weekly podcast dedicated to supporting the next generation of child and adolescent therapists to provide exceptional play therapy services. We'll explore all things play therapy to elevate your work with children and adolescents using the therapeutic powers of play. I'll discuss practical tips and ideas so you can provide a transformative experience for your young clients and make a real difference in their lives. So get ready to take your play therapy skills to the next level and make a lasting impact in the lives of children, adolescents, and families. Hey there, welcome to this week's episode of Next Level Play Therapy. For those of you watching live, or maybe you're watching on the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn or my Facebook group, you're probably noticing that I'm going live on a different day. Today is Friday. For those of you who listen to the podcast, it will not influence the day that the podcast drops, so you'll still be able to expect that to come out on Thursday. So this week, I want to talk about the thing that we don't really talk about in play therapy. And then we all do it. And then we all typically feel lost, overwhelmed, wondering if I'm doing a good job, wondering if maybe I am a terrible play therapist, or maybe getting frustrated with clients that nothing seems to be working. Well, there might be something to consider as the root of what is going on with that problem rather than what you think is the problem. And this is one of the things that I find happens a lot. I talk to a lot of people when I am meeting with them to see if Play Therapy Academy is a good fit for them. We talk about this in Play Therapy Academy. Whenever I do consultation and trainings, these things come up as well. And that is what I call the Etsy, Pinterest rabbit hole that leads to nowhere except frustration. We get lost in that endless loop of going down the internet trying to find activities online, maybe free activities or YouTube videos, all of which I have done. I'm finding books. I have books. So what I'm saying is that we don't want to do these things. What I'm saying is if that's your focus, then you're missing the more important question that you need to be asking yourself first before you do that. And that's what I want to talk about today. What is it, or why? Why are you choosing those activities? Why are you doing that in session? Why are you looking through the books trying to find activities? My brain is working a little slower today, so my brain is like in fog today. So this week I had such an amazing opportunity. So for those of you in Broward County at the Nancy J. Cotterman Center in Broward County, if you're watching if you're watching this episode on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, shout out to you. Hey, had a great time talking with you about play therapy. So I just came back from a training for them. So they're on the East Coast in Pacific time. I live on the West Coast. They're on the East Coast in Eastern time. I'm on the West Coast in Pacific time. And my brain is still kind of foggy from the travel. So bear with me on this episode. I'm a little foggy today. But I'm energized. It was awesome spending time with you guys at the Nancy J. Cotterman Center in Broward County, Florida. They are working with children and adolescents who've experienced trauma, specifically sexual trauma. So we focused on using play therapy, using an attachment and neuroscience lens, and also using Santre, my favorite, um, to help children heal. So in today's episode, I really, really want to focus on that question of what should I have in my playroom? What kind of activities should I do? Because I think if that's the focus, then we've missed the deeper level question of why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. What is the question to ask? And then I am going to talk about some things you should consider about having in your playroom once we've kind of laid the foundation for um, play therapy. So today's episode is how to use play therapy interventions to get great results in play therapy, which means the first question that we're focusing on, or the first thing that we're focusing on, is the common trap of the Etsy and Pinterest endless loop of searching the internet. So if you've ever felt pressured, even pressured within, to find all the things in your playroom, have all the miniatures. I honestly still fight this one. Like I always say that I am in recovery for Santre miniature addiction. Like I am obsessed with Santre miniatures, and I just moved my Santre office again for the second time in a year for a variety of things. I hadn't planned on moving it, and then life happens, right? So I have like 9 bazillion Santre miniatures, and I go into the dollar store here in my little town in Nevada, and they have what I would consider on the end cap, right as you walk in the door. They have this whole section of fairy miniatures. So little doors and little furniture, and that's these awesome little water fountains. And I'm like moth to a light, drawn to the aisle where they have all these miniatures. And in my head, I immediately say, oh, I need all of them. I need that one. I need that one. I need that one. And I need that one. And then my logic brain takes over and says, what are you doing? You still haven't unpacked all the 9 million miniatures that you have at your new office. You do, and you already have like 6 water fountains in your Santre collection, and you don't need any more. This is the intern standing at the end and the aisle in there, and I'm having this conversation in my head, right? So I get it, like moth to light when it comes to Santre miniatures, or different items in the playroom, right? Like, or different techniques or strategies, or going into the craft aisle, right? Looking at all the things you could do at Walmart when you're in the craft aisle, thinking to yourself, I need the glitter glue. I don't have that color glitter glue. Oh, I need those beads. And if I get the beads, then I need something to string them with, all of the things, right? Or maybe you're on I did this the other day. I'm scrolling through the Instagram, and I keep seeing, and I'm sure because I stopped and looked at it, now it's showing up in my feed more, right? So there are these cards about anger, and they have these great pictures, and I'm thinking, oh, I need those. Nope, I don't need those. Yes, I need this. Is it, this conversation I have in my head. So I buy them eventually, because I think, oh, I'm just going to get them. They look so awesome. Just getting them. And I get them. and they're not quite what I thought they would be, and they're still sitting on my shelf. So I get it. We all do it. So this isn't it's not about making people feel bad. It's not it's not about any of the things. We still do it. I still do it. But what I find with the consultation that I do, so we talk about this in Play Therapy Academy, and when I'm meeting with people and I'm doing training, what I what I hear a lot is, "Oh, I have to get all the things." And the reality is you don't. You don't have to get all the things. What first you need to figure out what you need to do and why. And that is going to help you stop feeling lost or stop second guessing yourself. Stop like you'll be once the initial um, relationship building phase stops, right? Like you're building rapport, you're doing good. And then now you have rapport, and now things are moving. And now you're feeling like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I, I don't know what to do, or I don't know if this is working. It doesn't seem like it's working. And so then you pull out all the things, and I call it like throwing spaghetti against the wall, hoping something sticks. You just kind of grab any kind of intervention you could think of, and you start throwing them in your sessions, figuratively, not literally, hoping something sticks. That's the spaghetti against the wall method. And if that's what's going on, then you are likely caught in that trap, the Etsy and Pinterest rabbit hole that leads to nowhere, trying to find the right thing. So here's what I would suggest to do differently. So think about this a different way. Not what do I need in my playroom, not do I need this glitter glue or craft activity or this new thing I saw at the training. Um, what I think you need to look at it differently. What the way you need to look at it differently is, what lens am I using to understand my client's problem, and how does that lens explain what the problem is, and then what does my theory model tell me that I need to do? Your theory model is going to help you understand why the problem is happening, and then it's going to help you understand what to do. You're going to have stages of play therapy. In each stage of play therapy, your play therapy model is going to tell you what to do in that session, and why. And then you're going to know if your client is making progress based on your theory model. Your theory model is your framework. It's like your GPS navigational system of how to get from A to Z, from beginning to end. It's going to help you get through the middle stages of stages 2 and 3. Most theoretical models have 4 stages. There's always the beginning, there's the ramping up to the really deeper issues, there's the deeper issues, and then there's the ready to successfully end treatment, right? There's 4 stages. But in your play therapy model is going to explain what you do in each of those sessions, what your client is working on in that stage of change, so that when you have that foundational framework, and you have that theoretical lens that you're looking through, then you can pull the activities and you'll know where they go in each stage. There's always going to be a time when you're getting to know your clients, especially in the beginning stages, when you're getting a better sense of your client and what works best for them. That's true for everybody. That's still true for me almost 35 years later, working with children and adolescents. I still use like that first 90 days to get to know my client and what what will work more effectively for them. When you get to the next stages, like when you're working on stage 2, then you should have a good sense of your client and what works typically. And now you have your theory model lens that's going to help you understand what the problem is and why is that problem happening. That's your case conceptualization using your play therapy model. And then your play therapy model is going to tell you what to do in each of those stages. So, for example, whether you're using child centered play therapy or maybe you're using TheraPlay, TheraPlay is going to influence who is in that session. Child centered play therapy is going to influence who is in that session. Filial play therapy is going to influence who is in that session. If you're using Adlerian play therapy, or maybe you're using EMDR, or maybe you're using internal family systems, you're integrating that in now. If you're using an integrative model, then you're blending together 2 or more theoretical models that are going to influence what are you doing in the session. So when you're thinking about what to have in your toolbox, then you're thinking about, like for child-centered play therapy, you're not leading, you're not asking questions, you're not using directive activities. You are going to think about what you have in your playroom. And what you want to have in your playroom is going to be influenced by therapeutically how can children use this for self-expression and for navigating through what's going on. You're having a kitchen area, you're having food and cooking utensils and cooking pots and pans. You're having a doctor kit. You're having some aggressive toys in there, like maybe you're having some swords and shields. Maybe you're having handcuffs. Maybe you're having doll babies and ways of taking care of doll babies. Maybe you're having constructive toys where they can be constructive and get some mastery. You're having all the things because you're going to be using that child-centered play therapy model to follow along as your client uses these toys in the playroom for self-expression. So if let's say you're working from Adlerian play therapy, you're gonna have items in there probably similar to child-centered play therapy in some regards, depending on the ages of the children that you work through. But you're also going to have maybe some supplies available that are going to help to work on connection, feeling like they're capable, helping them to gain awareness of their needs and how they're going about it versus how a way that might be more effective. So maybe you have some puppets in there too, right? You can use those. You can have puppets when you're in a child-centered play therapy room as well. You're using them a little differently. Um, or maybe you're using an integrative approach and you're using something based more with neuroscience and attachment. Then maybe you want to think about toys or supplies in there that focus on maybe sensory regulation. To me, Sancho is perfect for that because they can get in there and do some sensory regulation, maybe some Play-Doh, maybe you make some slime, right? Doing some using some of these things for regulation. Maybe you're helping them make like a glitter jar, right? You take like, I love these because you're recycling, which always makes me happy. So you're using recycling, like a bottled water bottle and you're filling it with water and some other things and you put some glitter in there and they're going to, glue on the top and now they can use that for some mindfulness activities. So you're thinking about your theory model and what your theory model says that you need in order to help your clients heal. So that brings us to my third point for today, which is okay, so what are you Now you're thinking about it differently. Now you're thinking about, oh, I need all the things. You're not thinking about, do I have, like going down and buying all the things first. You're not thinking about that first. What you're thinking first is, what do I need in my playroom based on what my theory model says that I need in there? And do I already have ways of getting that done? Do I need more sand tray miniatures? I don't. They use what they need, right? So that's what I tell myself. And then I get back into recovery, and I'm not going to, and for the record, I did not buy any of those perfectly amazing miniatures in the dollar store. I put them back. So that's what I did. What I did was, then I went into I think I went into one of my Facebook groups and posted, hey, if you guys need sand tray miniatures, here's where you can get them. So I looked at it as helping others, right? Um, so my point being, where we are, but like what you want to think about is, what does your theory model say? What do you already have in your playroom or your miniature collection? And what does your theory model say that you're going to be doing in the play therapy sessions? And what are you working on? So, like, maybe you're working with a child who is dealing with anxiety and maybe also has trauma that they've experienced. And so they have a lot of fears, a lot of worries, and you're using a neuroscience and attachment blended theory model. And then it's going to be based on these specific theories, like maybe you're using interpersonal neurobiology, and maybe you're integrating also some polyvagal theory in there, and maybe you are in more of the stage 2 where you built the trust, and now your theory, like my trauma model that I use, is through the National Institute for Trauma and Loss in Children. They have different stages and different things that we're working on. So maybe I'm in stage 2 now, and I'm going to be doing these types of activities in this session. So maybe I'm going to have some books. I'll use a little bibliotherapy. We're working on cognitive distortions. I'm going to do an activity focused on identifying the lies. That's what I call them, the lies that our brain tells us about what happened and what scary thing might happen, the what ifs. What if this happens, or what if that happens? And then we're going to do some cognitive restructuring. And what is that going to look like in play therapy? So I'm going to be choosing tools to do that. So if you're looking at regulation, so maybe you're using a neuroscience lens and you're looking at helping to regulate their nervous system, then you're going to consider yourself as co-regulator in the session. But maybe you're also going to do some grounding things, like maybe some mindfulness, or maybe you're going to have them do some breathing. So maybe you're going to have some bubbles, or maybe you're going to have some drumming, or maybe they're going to use the sand tray and they can self-soothe by feeling the sand and pouring the sand and regulating through the sand. Or maybe you're thinking about, how do you want to help them express emotions, and maybe explore what's going on, what activates those emotions, and how to manage those emotions. Then you may be looking at, if you're thinking about maybe child-led, like child-centered play therapy, then you want to have some activities in there that maybe help them explore what's going on in their mind, like the medical kits, or some cooking toys, or maybe some aggression toys where they can work out some of those emotions of what is going on. Or maybe you're using a model like a play therapy model like Adlerian, and you're focusing on connection and helping them feel like they connect or that they do count, right? Then you're going to be choosing activities that may help them identify emotions and what activates those emotions and helps them feel like they or recognize what they are doing that makes them feel like they don't count, right? Depending on where you are in the change process, that's how you're going to choose what you're doing differently. Or maybe you're working on some relationship repair things and you're thinking about what helps with um, navigating social skills. Games are a great way to do that. It's the give and take. How do they interact in the game? You get a good sense of their ability and how they interact with others based on what you're seeing in the playroom while you're playing the game. And then based on your theory model, it's going to influence, are they in that stage where you can help them gain some insight and make the connections that what they're trying to accomplish, which is having friends, when they go about it this way, that's probably why their friends don't want to play games with them. And so maybe let's think about it a different way. All of those things, you depending on your play therapy model, you're going to use them differently, and you may choose different activities based on what you're working on in those sessions. And then how do you build that relationship between parent and child? How are you working on some of that attachment relationship with parents? Well, if you're using whatever the play therapy model is that you're using is going to influence that as well. Like, for example, if you're using child-centered play therapy, then you are not having parents in the session. You're meeting with them separately. But if you're using filial, which is basically the way that I think about filial or child-parent relationship therapy, um, which is the Landreth model, uh, and or maybe you are using those models. You're essentially, the way that I look at it, you're teaching parents how to use child-centered play therapy in the session as well as at home with their child. So that's going to influence how you work with parents, and then what are you helping them to do. So before you add something to your toolbox, think to yourself, what is the purpose of this? How does it reflect my theoretical lens? And then what is the outcome I'm hoping to support with this play therapy model or this play therapy intervention? Think about those things while you are planning for your session and your client, and what are they working on, and what theoretical model are you using. So that is it for today. Let me do a quick recap. Today, we're talking about how to use play therapy interventions to get great results in play therapy. And the first thing that you want to consider is like finding the right activities. If you're focusing primarily on finding the right activities or finding the perfect toy or the perfect thing and to have in your playroom, then it's going to miss the mark about um, figuring out what you need. And then you're oftentimes going to end up feeling like you're not sure if you're making a difference. You're second guessing what you're doing in your sessions. You're feeling confused about what's really going on with your client and how to help them heal. So, what you want to do then, the first thing is start with your theoretical foundation, meaning we're looking at this question a different way. We're not looking at what do I need in my playroom and what activities do I need to look for? We're first taking a step back and first thinking about what is my play therapy model say is the problem and why is the problem happening. So that's your initial case conceptualization. And then you're thinking about your play therapy model and what does it say will need to happen in order for your client to heal. And that's going to help you figure out what play therapy interventions to do in the play sessions. Um, or if you're using child centered play therapy, then it's going to tell you what kind of toys you need in there and supplies, art supplies, toys, those kinds of things, and how you're going to use them. Versus if you're using a blended model that maybe is rooted in attachment and neuroscience, then you're going to be thinking about what do the theories that you're blending. So let's say um, you're blending EMDR and some interpersonal neurobiology, right? EMDR's got it's a theory model. And depending on what you're doing in your theory model, it's going to influence how you show up in the session, what you're going to do in the session, and how you're going to do it. It's also going to influence like where you are in the protocol of what it is that you're doing with your clients. And interpersonal neurobiology is really looking at that interpersonal relationship and how we influence each other's neurosystems. And what does that look like in the sessions? And then as we're working through exploring and identifying and repairing some of those early and implicit experiences of fear and maybe trauma or attachment issues. Where are we in that process? So you're using your theory model first to conceptualize what's going on and why is it happening. And then you're thinking about your theory model and what your theory model says needs to happen in order for healing to occur and what stage are you in. And depending on what stage you're in, what are you doing in that stage? So you're thinking about that when you're thinking about the activities that you're going to be doing. And so the third thing is really before you add something to your toolbox, before you go out and maybe spend hours looking on Pinterest or finding all the awesome things that are available on Etsy, as well as Pinterest has got some good things. Etsy's got some awesome things going on, all the sites where you can get some like free activities and guides, good stuff, all good stuff. Before you do that, though, you want to think about what is your play therapy model? What's the purpose that I need? What's the purpose of the activity? And will it fit where that child is in the change process? Will it fit and reflect my theoretical model? So if you're using child-centered play therapy, then you're not choosing activities that if you want to use child centered play therapy and you start thinking to yourself, oh, it's not working, maybe I need to do a directive activity, that is a really big clue that maybe you are getting ahead of yourself and maybe you're you're not thinking about the model and how it works. And so take a step back, go back to your theoretical model and think to yourself, okay, what does my theory model say? And at some point, we have to trust the process, especially in the beginning. We trust that if we have conceptualized the problem, at least initially, we just need to get started and we continue to assess as we go through the change process. That's is we trust that if we're grounding ourselves in our theoretical model and what the model says to do and how the model says to show up, then it will work out. We believe in the child's innate ability to move towards healing and wholeness when given a free and protected space, right? So when you're choosing what you're going to do, think to yourself, how does this reflect my theoretical model? And what am I hoping for an outcome? And how is that going to support my client in the healing process? So that is it for today. Um, so if you're interested, well, first, before I say that, I just want to say if you feel like this has been helpful, please feel free to like it and share it across your social media. Please feel free to share. I just realized I totally forgot to check in with the people who are here live and maybe the ones watching the video replay. I would love to know who is here. So feel free to comment below, like what population you work with, um, what play therapy model that you're using, maybe where you're using, where are you in the world, and what kind of setting are you working in. So feel free to check in. I always love reading the comments and checking in with people. Feel free to share this across your social media. I'm, if you came a little late, I'm experiencing jet lag today, so my brain is a little foggy today. So, anyways, thank you for joining me today. I really love interacting with people and hearing from you. If you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, I do have an opening left. So if you're interested, Play Therapy Academy is my online play therapy consultation program. We have consultation meetings twice a month where we have people scheduled to present. We focus on you and providing you not just with my almost 35 years of experience, but you get the collective wisdom of the group. And to me, that's where the magic is the group all working together, sharing gifts and talents, sharing resources, sharing insights, supporting each other. Um, that if you ask anyone in Play Therapy Academy, they will tell you that is their favorite part. It's my favorite part as well. So we meet twice a month. We will walk through that case conceptualization process. We will help you figure out how to apply your play therapy theoretical model. We will help you figure out what is going on in the sessions, identifying themes so that you can use that information to help you better understand what is going on with your client and how to help facilitate that change process for successful completion, how to integrate parents, how to support parents, how to work with challenging parents who are really, really struggling. We do all of the things. We do those in our twice a month meetings. Also, we have a private group chat where we can get support in between sessions. We'll share resources in there. We'll share all the things that we need to support each other. And then there are also courses included. They're kind of like a bonus where there's 5 courses in there that are play therapy specific focused for some of the foundational basic skills, like how do you use case conceptualization with the play therapy model? What is that going to look like for different play therapy models? How do you write a play therapy treatment plan? How do you write play therapy progress notes? The courses are available outside of Play Therapy Academy. So if you don't need Play Therapy Academy, but you're like, oh, these courses sound good, I want them. You can hop over to my website. You'll be able to find them there on the courses page. And if you are finding that you do need support and you would like a community of support to help you stop second guessing yourself, stop thinking you're the worst play therapist who ever walked the planet, and any day now, parents are going to figure out that you're not helping your client. If you're feeling like you have to explain everything and because you want to make sure they know that play therapy works, you are probably struggling with imposter syndrome, and Play Therapy Academy can help. So if you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, you are going to want to schedule a video call with me. If you if you want to schedule a video call with me, it's 30 minutes. We just make sure Play Therapy Academy is a good fit for you, so that you can make choices that will help support your professional needs. If you find out it's not a good fit, that's fine. Then we've had an awesome conversation. That's how I look at it. So if you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, pop over to my website at rhplaytherapytraining.com. Go on the consultation page and you'll see Play Therapy Academy. You'll see the link to schedule the free 30-minute video. So hop over to my website at rhplaytherapytraining.com. That's Renewing Hearts Play Therapy Training. Hop over to the consultation page, schedule the 30-minute video call with me, and we'll see if Play Therapy Academy is a good fit for you. If you're interested in the courses, then pop over to the courses page and you will see those available. And I will see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Next Level Play Therapy. I hope you found the discussion valuable and gained new insights and ideas to support your work helping children, adolescents, and families heal. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback helps to improve and reach more people who can benefit from this information. Remember, play therapy is a powerful tool for healing and growth. Whether you're a new play therapist or experienced, I encourage you to continue your learning journey to unlock the potential of play in your own work and relationships. If you have any questions or topic suggestions for future episodes, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on social media and visit my website at Renewing Hearts Play Therapy Training to stay updated on upcoming episodes, trainings, and resources. Thank you once again for listening to Next Level Play Therapy. Until next time, keep playing, learning, and growing.